Now, shall we talk about what happened in the Volta region in the course of the week, where Jifa Ativo, you know her, the former minister of transport, who resigned on the back of the infamous bus branding saga, spoke to voters while she together with Fifi Kwete, the Greek minister, she was in his constituency and was speaking to the crowd and sought to suggest that the NPP was tribalistic and that it will prosecute NDC officials if they did not keep the NDC in power. A lot of well-meaning Ghanaians have spoken about it. The clergy, represented by one bishop, has said it is wrong. She ought to apologize. Many have condemned her, including people within the NDC. Very significant persons within the NDC have condemned her, but there are others who also don't condemn her, seek to justify her comments, including the NDC's own General Secretary, have made comments that suggest that she was only dealing with the truth, that is the case. But is that really the case? Kofi, on this note, I start with you. How do you find those comments yourself?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, for this country, since its formation by our first president, have sought to run affairs like a unitary state to make sure that we all see ourselves as one. That has carried on for some time until you remember very well the infamous statement of inward, always being inward and so on and so forth, created a kind of very difficult situations for those persons, because that statement was really hurting to the people of Volta region. That, once again, was put behind us when the revolution came. We saw everybody coming on board, carried on, parried what we have to parry. We entered the fourth Republican Constitution. It virtually continued same. And there was even a constitutional provision to make sure that all regions, not ethnic groups though, all regions are fairly represented in government, so as, especially even at cabinet level, so as to forestall this perception and beliefs that some people are being excluded or are being haunted for whatever reasons. Unfortunately, when the NDC in the year 2000 lost power, there was a well-calculated attempt to deal with NDC through fair and foul means, so as to result in the decimation of the party called NDC. And I remember the voice of a very respected person in NPP, J.H. Mensah, who said, by the time they finish dealing with us, the NDC would be no more. It went on and on. Many persons were lined up for trial for whatever reasons. Persons who were expected to come into this country to give evidence were threatened behind the scenes. You see, the behind the scenes things that sometimes cannot be reported officially are things that are worrying to persons. And that is why I wasn't surprised that in somewhere 2009, 2010, another very respectable chief in the Volta region made it very clear. Honorable Jifa is therefore not the first to have given this indication, made it very clear that the people of Volta were made to feel like strangers in their own country. That's a significant statement. Were made to feel like strangers in their own country. There have been many others who have believed that the trial of persons like Messrs. Dana Bodakpe, Victor Salome, Chachuchi Kates, Agbwanda, and all others were really well calculated to deal with some persons.
Political persecutions, you mean?
Political persecutions. Indeed, a
So
statement.
same should be said of the prosecutions or trials that happened in the wake of the NPP, the NDC assuming power and prosecuting or taking persons in the NPP to court.
It depends.
Asamoah Boateng and co.
It depends.
Tarzan and
It depends on
and
comments. It depends on comments and behavior. For example, if you read the statement that was issued by Nana Konadu Agyemang-Rawlings when President Kufuor decided that we should discontinue, she made it very clear that it was about political persecution, and she, together with senior members of NDC, then believed that the law was not being applied, but that they were just going to court, knowing very well that the fairness would not prevail, and that they will be sent to jail ultimately, because there was some kind of a hanging on the judiciary. Some actually describe it as an albatross around their.
So you are
their
saying
necks.
that the verdicts that saw Victor Seleme, Pepra, and the rest in jail were politically procured?
I think they made it very clear. The judge made it very clear that one, they did not steal. They were not corrupt. There was no act of any corruption.
Who made it clear?
The judge who sentenced them, Justice Afre, then in the quality grain trial, he made it very clear that they didn't steal.
You must be guilty of an offense.
There was no
You must
corruption.
you must be convicted of the offense before you put into prison.
And that it is his so-called interpretation, financial loss. And you remember very well analysis of that ruling. You are a lawyer, so I'm sure you followed post-verdict analysis of that case. How people that it meant therefore that if you were a minister and it's possible to use a TICO for an assignment because a TICO is a car, and then you buy a pickup. When somebody comes and decides that no, you shouldn't have bought pickup because you could buy TICO and you bought pickup, you could be jailed in the name of
You think
financial
this is the
loss.
best example you can get?
I'm just telling you about analysis that came post those verdicts. I'm telling you about analysis that came post those verdicts.
So Jifa is justified.
I'm coming to that.
Like
I'm
your
coming-
general secretary, she was dealing with the truth.
I'm coming to that. I believe that you will learn. Who was Jifa speaking to? Jifa was speaking to Ewes, basically, who have believed, and in this country, there have been statements that the other tribes are being haunted by persons either close to Nana or even Nana.
How do you
himself
guarantee
by-
that all
by
the
extension.
supporters at that venue were Ewes? The fact that it was happening in the region
Let me say that.
does not mean that.
Let me say that majority Ewes. He was speaking in a constituency that is predominantly an Ewe constituency.
So what do you think? What do you think are the implications of that for the others who were around who are not Ewes?
I will get to that. If maybe your questions is curtailing the flow of my analysis. So what was she saying? All that she sought to say. People may be worried about using herself and then Fifi as an example. But who best do you want to use as an example when she was speaking in Fifi's constituency? And Fifi, of course, is a minister who would have taken decisions that could be interpreted by somebody tomorrow that you could have purchased pickup, but you purchased Tico. So because a Tico did not last longer, you have caused financial loss to the state. Or you could have purchased pickup and you didn't. You could have purchased Tico, but you went and purchased pickup because a pickup is more expensive than a Tico. You have caused financial loss. So go. Such interpretation could happen. That is the analysis she was giving. I don't think that her statement was very dangerous, like somebody saying that Yena can fall and all die be die, or regions that do not have resources should not be given a right to lead in this country. Your colleague, Manasseh Azuria, has been writing articles about especially the two leading political parties, their actions and inactions. And he confessed that when he writes things against the NDC, he is taking on either based on the information the NDC people feel that they have. But when he does against the NPP, they attack his personality, Teniba, this, that, such comments. So it tells you how the other tribes feel.
I have not read about that.
I have read it.
Okay, fine.
I have read it. That's why I'm
should be listening. You confirm to me.
I will not.
But I can also tell you that when you post certain comments and it's a critique of an issue you feel the government handled badly, some of the comments you get from NDC people sometimes are not about the issues. They attack your person.
I've just said that he says he's taking on. But mostly he's taking on the issue.
Okay.
Or yes, others may attack him and so, but they would not use where he's coming from.
Okay.
As an attack. The NDC would not do that.
But he just told you they do.
I'm saying no. He didn't say that. He said they attack they can insult maybe look at your forehead. Oh, look at this. That's what he's talking about. Not where the person is coming from. Because we make everybody belong.
That's how you justify what Jifa Ativo said. Now hold on. Let's hear what Jifa said. We try to get about 1 minute some 30 seconds of it. So let's listen to the former minister Jifa Ativo. In fact, she has come back to attempt to justify her own comments. Let's hear her.
The NPP has planned to feed the Volta region with lies. But I want to tell the NPP that the agenda of peddling lies will not materialize in the region. We, the people of the Volta region, will forever remain members of the NDC. When the NPP won power in 2001, most ministers who are Ewes were imprisoned, including Salome, Abodaki, and a host of other ministers. Does that mean no individual from any other tribe has faltered in the discharge of their duties? I want to remind you that it is your votes that will decide if Fifi Kwete and I will be prosecuted and put behind bars or not. Do well to inform your relatives living in Togo to come and register during the limited voter registration exercise so they can vote for Fifi Kwete and John Mahama.
NDC just said, because Fifi Kwete just said, because John Mahama just said, let me have a long come and see a man qualify a long coco, ne viole, as a hopper we ni, na nebe, one cojela balame.
Okay, so concluding some 30 seconds, let's hear some other persons on this subject.
Anyway, so that was what Jifa sought to suggest. And I'm sure she herself have had an understanding that there was some misinterpretation of what she intended. And that explained her comeback to clarify the point.
She has not said she was misinterpreted.
No, she had sought to explain herself beyond what people were dragging that one. She's done wrong and she's afraid of being jailed. And that she said she has not done any wrong and that she's not afraid of jail. She's talking about persecution, political persecution, ethnic-based persecution. That was what she's talking about.
Samson, I feel very sad this morning.
We are discussing this also after we have done a Bach and Force attack.
Yes.
And all of that is supposed to assist us to determine how we are going into the elections in a manner that we don't, further polarize or, as it were, get the people to act in bad ways.
Exactly. And that is why most well-meaning Ghanaians have called Madam Ativo's comments ethnocentric, dangerous and reckless. And I am scandalized that my senior brother and senior from secondary school would go down the line that he has gone. For me, I would have expected a clear condemnation and a movement away, especially because he himself is an Ewe. But what I find him doing is not just to even justify the matter, but to even take it way, way deeper than even Madame G4 recklessly left it. Samson, I have been searching the records, and this always an inward-looking thing, I've researched it. I have not seen anywhere in the records of Parliament that anybody ever made the statement, and I quote, always are inward-looking. I don't, it does not exist.
No.
That statement, the quotation I'm giving does not exist. What exists is a reaction to Dr. Agama. That, Doctor, as an Ewe, you cannot say this. Dr. Agama was the one who said something that elicited a response. So there is no such statement that Ewes are inward looking. If somebody's interpretation of the response that Victor also gave to Dr. Agama is this, which is mischievous, is clearly twisted, then that one is a problem for the person. It's a person's choice of words. It's the person who decides to play with words and be mischievous and interpret it that way. But that statement was not made in that manner, that Ewes are inward looking. It was never made. And this is a fact.
No,
otherwise,
let me help you. It's true. Victor Usu was reacting to certain things Dr. Agama had said. We appear to have ignored some of the things Dr. Agama said, which per records were unsustainable. He was claiming that Apollo 568 had targeted guns, airways, and members of the Nile. That's what he was doing, without providing anything of evidential value then to sustain his case. Victor Usu, in my candid opinion, overreacted. This is what he said. This is the Hansard, 17 June 1970. He says, the distinguished doctor and leader of the opposition, that's Dr. Agama, moved a motion in terms of which one finds difficult to follow. Dr. Agama himself belongs to a tribe that has been notorious for its inward-looking tribalism. And then there was uproar in Parliament. This is the record. If you read all these things, you will see also things Dr. Agama said that led to that provocation. But I don't think the provocation was a sufficient basis for Victor to have gone this, and he never recovered from this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kweku. All right, so, yes.
So the point I was making was that it was a question of tribalism which Dr. Agama accused Victor Usu's party of. And
he called Busia, he said Busia's government was a tribalist
That's
government.
right.
Yeah.
And so it was a comment that was posited in the discussion of tribalism. But our people have expanded it and left it just as inward looking, which for me is more general and more insulting. If you lifted it out of the context in which it was placed, you create the impression that this was an attack on every aspect that is supposed to be Voltarian. But it was a matter that was being discussed. And of course, it is true that in this country, we are told that Nyebro, you have heard. You understand?
Of course.
We are supposed to be a very closely knit people. And I'm proud that even though Kobe and Kofi do not belong on my political divide, we still relate, and that brotherliness still exists. And it is something that we are notoriously noted for in this country. It is not necessarily a negative, and that was the comment. But for political expediency, our people have wanted to skew this and create the impression that the Volta region was insulted. No, that was not it. And that's the correction I sought to make.
And now he has used that from the Hansard that Kweku read. It is very clear what was said.
That's right.
And he has used that to justify, and other things, to justify what Jifa has said.
Yes. So now let's move to Jifa. In the first place, what Jifa said was factually incorrect. That is the first point.
Yeah.
There were other people who were investigated and prosecuted under the Kufuor-led administration.
Not only Ewes.
Who were not Ewes.
That's right.
So that statement was not properly educated. And I shudder to think that
Ibrahim Adams was not Ewes.
Malam Issa,
Okay.
George Sipayanki, and all the others, even the wife of President Rawlings was investigated and prosecuted. Kwame Pepra, Usana Santi. You understand? So the comment was uneducated. So that's for me, that and it is only mischief. And that's the kind of politics they have always done in the Volta region. It is not about development. And I'll come to that. It is not about development. It is about you're supposed to hate these people and so vote for us. That's the import of all the time she had. That was the import of her submission. She never mentioned anywhere that we have done this, we will do this, so vote for us. You are supposed to hate these accounts.
We
so
played
vote
you less than 2 minutes of what she said.
I have listened to the entire
whole
tape.
tape. Okay.
And I'm saying that the import, the focus, and that's the focus of the NDC when it comes to campaigns in the Volta region. And no wonder now the Volta region, led by the chiefs and the people themselves, have risen up. And that's why the president has had to visit, in the last couple of weeks, he has had to visit the region for about 4 or 5 times. It's because the people are beginning to realize that, no, this hate politics is taking us nowhere. Politics is supposed to be about development. Our people cannot find good water to drink. There are no good schools. The health insurance is collapsed. People cannot pay school fees. You promised it. You are not delivering on it. And the Volta region people to also, when they go to the same markets that we go to. So the people are realizing that, no, it is about development. It is not about just telling us to hate some people. And I just told you that that statement was even factually incorrect. Number 2, Samson, that statement is an admission of, for me, as a guilt. There is a clear admission on the part of Madame Ativo that they have engaged in some clear, for want of a better word, thievery, pilfering, and corruption. But the point is that, in the case of the bus branding, Samson, when the 1.9 million that was supposed to have been recovered, and I believe that if we had done, if an independent person or body was asked to review that contract, I'm sure would have saved more money. But let's talk even about the 1.9. That money, did Madame Giftiativo share it with persons of the Volta region? The comfort, her comfort as a minister. How do I as a Volta
benefited from anything?
Well,
in the first place.
Well,
so you are proceeding to conclude as if she benefited. No,
well,
but you are concluding and proceeding on that.
On what basis, therefore, do you think that she stood aloof and allowed 1.9 million to be padded to the amount? On what basis? You thought she was stupid? You thought she was stupid?
How could you have said that it was padded?
1.9 was subsequently reduced to 1.5 or so.
Well,
and she's not the one who has refunded it.
Yes.
It is the Smarties
yes.
that has refunded
I agree,
it.
but I'm saying that to suggest, I don't want to think that she is incompetent and she doesn't know what she was doing and she just appended a signature to something. I'm sure that. And so it's dangerous how you're going and you may be insulting my sister that she's
ministers
stupid.
are not procurement officers. They don't do the value audits.
Okay.
You must understand this.
Thank you, Kofi.
Ministers are not procurement officers.
Kofi, thank you.
The contract was not signed by the procurement officer. The contract would have been signed by the minister. Yes, of course, that's what it is.
Jesus Christ.
In any case, we are even being told that the contract was not signed even before the job was executed. Why? It was the procurement officer who would have given the order. Is that the kind of government you are running? Okay. Is that how you are using?
Let's wait. Fortunately, the court has ruled that all the documents be made available to us. And so we are definitely going to get the documents and go through them and confirm some of the claims you are making, of course, including that investigation that was conducted by the Attorney General's Department. As you know, Occupy Ghana also had another suit in respect of the same thing. By my understanding, the Attorney General has thrown in the towel. They don't intend to proceed with that matter anymore, so they are just going to give them the information. They don't want another court issue. Yes.
Samson, and this has, you see, I just came from the Volta yesterday. I have heard chiefs, and he talked about chiefs in the Volta region. The chief I'm sure he wanted to talk about was Togbia Fede. And he knows what Togbia Fede did when we were in power. Togbia Fede was Bank of Ghana board chairman.
So meaning he was speaking the truth.
No,
but he was speaking the truth for his people.
Is that an exclusion?
Meaning it's not for himself. He was speaking the truth for his people.
Kofi, thank you. Yes.
He was referring to me.
Can I?
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
but I'm saying
that.
I'm saying that
take note.
Because you know you will be exposed, you kept the name out for mischief. You said a prominent chief. You didn't mention because you know when you did, you'll be confronted with the truth. You understand? And so this look, I can give you a tall list of errors who worked within the NPP administration for the 8 years. You understand? If you compared the population of the votes that the NDC, the population of the Volta region, and the percentage of votes that the Volta region gives to the NDC and NPP, it is the NDC that is targeting the Volta region. And just yesterday, chiefs were talking to me about how, for instance, you go to national service, a network was removed, somebody of northern extraction was brought. I'm not going to do this tribal thing, but I'm trying to explain to my brother that if you do that, this is what the people on themselves on the grounds are saying.
Okay.
Look, I tell you something. In the president's cabinet, it's a 20-member cabinet. 40% of them are from northern extraction. However, you go to the office of the president, 50% of the ministers in the office of the president are of northern extraction. However, the northern percent, the population is 17%, and they only give 15% of votes to the NDC.
I'm not able to independently.
Well, I have done. Yeah, you cannot, because you didn't. You haven't taken your time to do the mathematics. I have. You understand? But I'm saying that the Volta region continues to invest heavily in the NDC, very heavily in the NDC. Over 85% on the average is the votes that they get from. What do they get in return? Mr. Prosper Bani was demoted from chief of staff.
Do you get what you are trying to say now?
What I'm trying to say is that what Madam Ativo said is wrong, and that what is actually happening is that the people of the Volta region are themselves complaining that once we are voting for you,
you're saying what she said was wrong, but there is a political capital to make out of it, and you are doing that.
No, I'm not. I'm condemning. I'm saying that they should not endanger this or generate this kind of discourse.
Okay.
And that these comments are the kind of comments that would want to push people along these lines.
So just hold your fire there. Just hold your fire there, and I'll come to Kobe, and then we'll of course end up with Kweku on this, and let's be brief about it and go to deal with matters of the elections coming up and so on. Now, the National Peace Council, you know, they have said something about Jifa Ativo. I want us to hear that, and then we'll hear from Kobe whether we should continue to justify some of these comments, and whether or not it doesn't portend something, you know, bad if we continued in that way going into the elections.
And apologize to the Ghanaian public, to our brothers and sisters in the Volta region for taking them for a ride. I think he should also apologize because he's not helped the party that she represents. You know, if you want to give the impression that your party will shield you when you do something wrong, but it's a different party that will deal with you, then you're not saying anything good about your party. So I think he should come clean and apologize to Ghanaians. And then, you know, let all politicians and all of us take a cue from this and ensure that we conduct our politics in a clean manner, and making sure that our politics is driven by policies rather than simply going out there and trying to get cheap votes.
All right, so that's Reverend Asante of the National Peace Council. Kobe, are these comments, you know, justified?
I would have.
I remember not too long ago there was a leaked, you know, tape of Osafo Mafu. I remember that the NDC didn't only stop at condemning it, but there was actually a group that decided that it was going to do a nationwide tour to tell people that they should condemn some of those comments. There was this codec, right? Yeah. And then Clement Apak, Dr. Clement Apak was on this show, and he spoke about how he supported the group and how he was going to sponsor them to go up to the northern part of the country.
Yeah. My brother, Reverend Asante, right? I would have been very glad if he had come out when we were talking about young Akamfo in this country. And just like Kofi said, Jifa was speaking to a predominantly Ewe community. And Nana Akufo-Addo was also speaking to a predominantly Akan community at Akufo-Addo, and he said, young Akamfo, you understand? Now, when you have a leader a political leader who is seeking to lead this country, and he is moving with the mindset that, yes, I must position myself within a certain ethnic context as to draw attention. That is what is very divisive and very, very dangerous for the unity of this country.
Not what Jifa said.
Well, I'm coming to that. I am coming. I will come to that. Very, very divisive to this country. Again, how? Again, you see a whole parliamentarian sits on radio and says that, oh, somebody is from the north, free education anka onyen nantri. Now, and he just.
What did you say to these people?
I'm coming.
What does the NDC say about the Yen Akamfo? Yes, what does the NDC say about it?
I am talking about the loud moral society that is now finding its voice in relation to Jifa Ativo, the loud silence that greeted those things. Now, assuming without admitting that Jifa Ativo's comments were ethnocentric, don't you think that your silence years ago or days ago encouraged that to happen? And why now? You understand? But
I don't understand.
No, you won't.
There's no understanding.
Hold on. Yeah.
Please, you won't. Now, here.
You think he understood you when you were speaking?
But you kept interjecting.
So here we are. What did Jifa Ativa say? As far as I heard her speaking in the Ewe language, the NDC that the Jerry Rawlings brought is for those of us in the voter region have come to hold on to it and believe in it. So we must continue to hold on to it and believe in it with every bit of our strength. That is what I mean by go. Then after that, the next thing I heard was the voiceover. So as we speak right now, I really haven't heard the Fativo's voice on the matter. It's the voiceover that we are reacting.
Don't contest it. The voiceover is accurate.
But I'm stating the fact that I am reacting to the voiceover. That is what I'm saying. Now, from everything that I've seen, Jifa Ativo is enumerating a historical event that happened. Now, you have the NDC lose power in 2001. Just around 2001, 2002, J.H. Mensah goes to Legon and makes a very definitive statement there. By the time we finish with the NDC, there will be no party left. By the time we finish with them, there will be no party. And he was talking in terms of the, leadership of the NDC that were being prosecuted at the time.
How is that possible? You see, don't do this. That's a twist.
Okay, when Kofi was doing to you, didn't like it. You note what you feel you need to react to. Unfortunately, we won't come for reactions on this one.
That was what was happening. Okay, now, who, and he just rightly stated, the NDC, the voter heavily invests in the NDC. Voter region, he just said it himself. Voter region. So if you want to decimate the NDC, or you want to kill an animal, what do? You don't kill an animal by cutting the tail. You kill an animal by cutting the head. So voter region perceives those prosecutions as politically motivated and at decimating the NDC. That is the belief of the people. You cannot take it away from them. You can come and say they use the law, they use the judicial process. You can say all that. But the belief of the people is that all those things were politically motivated to decimate the NDC. Cut the head of the animal, cut the head of the party, demoralize the voter region and get them to shy away from
They
NDC.
believe so because the leadership tells them that.
Well, they believe so because they are seeing that
and you
themselves.
say that is right.
No, they believe so because
that
they
we
are
have
seeing
given
that.
ourselves a judiciary, and when they make pronouncements, we'll go down there and tell the people that this judgment was fraudulently procured to deal with a tribe.
Master, we've given ourselves a judiciary that even just quite recently we were told that goats were given to procure judgments. So people have the right to have their beliefs. And that is the belief of the voter region.
No.
So when people are accused of crimes,
and you know what?
Because see, when people are accused of crimes by the government, and they go to court and they are successful, and those individuals have political associations, it should be interpreted that the government of the NDC bought the judiciary and got them to give a certain verdict because they want to deal with that particular political party or the tribe.
No, you see, but this is something that has already been stated. This is a publicly stated position that, and J.H. Mensah was not just an ordinary member of the party. He was the senior minister. And until his appointment as senior minister, we have never known.
J.H. Mensah said that we are using the courts.
By the time we finish
we are using the courts.
By the time we finish with them, there will be nobody left.
Dealing with them.
And you see, these are things that and some of the things that give a credence to the perception is, yes, and I agree, it is just a perception. But it's a perception that is founded on the things that have happened. Okay, Victor Salome had been out of the country, and he heard that he was being sought for questioning. The man is coming back into the country right on the tarmac when he was arriving. He was not escaping from the country, for crying out loud. This is a man who's returning to the country. And so when you see this, you see this thing, and you see how Chachuchi Kata has gone to church, and he was accosted in church and arrested. And then how on the last day of
the BNI hasn't changed that much, right? Well.
I don't know whether the BNI has arrested anybody in church.
The National Health Insurance. The National Health Insurance. The National Health Insurance.
I don't know whether the BNI has arrested anybody in church.
I will tell you.
Or arrested anybody on the tarmac in recent times.
I will tell you.
Don't interject. Stop interjecting.
You don't know. I want to tell you.
Please tell me.
Your own National Health Insurance, Sylvester Mensah.
Former
the
church has come to deny that incident happened.
Right.
Ajina Saris Church, I believe, had written a formal statement to deny those reports. So what are you talking about?
The Rambo style arrest.
So as far as you're concerned, it's okay. It's okay.
No, it is not about it being okay or not. It's about whether people have reason to hold that view or not. You understand? Now, when people hold,
and they should be encouraged to hold those views.
It was to whether listen. We must then interrogate why people would hold those views and what are the things that we have done to feed into those views. And people just read from the Hansard. This is not something that even started with Jifar Ativo. As far back as 1970, you had Agama also having the view that the PP, that is the forebears of the NPP, were holding anti-Ewe and anti-Ga sentiment.
He speaks to you about the uproar that was generated after those comments.
No, he speaks to me about the uproar of the comments that came after Victor Usu said that you belong to a tribe that is notoriously noted for inward looking. And then you say that man is talking about Agama. When you say you belong to a tribe that is notoriously noted for inward looking, you say I should not take that.
So in the end, what are you saying?
What I am saying is that we must look at the historical antecedents that have created those perceptions and deal with those things.
And there.
And deal with them.
How? Deal with it like discouraging Jifar Ativo. Discouraging Mr. Safoma.
Discouraging Nana Akufo-Addo with Yan Kamfo. Discouraging Osala Usu from saying that Northerners are only good for good head, but for how do you call it, free education. Discouraging Osafomafo. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So I'm saying that.
So on that note, you discourage Jifar Ativo from saying what she said.
But I'm saying that, having said that, you also have to. You don't say what is the essence of studying history. We study history so as to learn the mistakes of the past and to avoid them. So when somebody is now enumerating the historical facts, then we must look at, is it a factual situation that there is a perception that this is what is happening?
Thank you, Kobe. And this is a statement that was issued by former President Rawlings on the Jifar Ativo matter. And he says, my attention has been drawn to a statement made by a former Minister for Transport, Jifar Ativo, at a political event at Waduaba in the Volta region. I find it distasteful that aside making ethnocentric references accusing the NPP presidential candidate of being tribalistic, she also insinuated that because I was a founder of the National Democratic Congress, the electorate in the Volta region should vote for the party on that basis.
He founded the party.
Before making such unfortunate statement, I'm reading a statement, please. Before making such unfortunate statements, let's remove the logs in our own eyes. Kofi, are you saying that the statement, somebody put some wrong words in the statement?
Yeah.
Somebody did?
I believe so. Because
I
if
see.
you listen to...
This is the statement from Mr. Rawlings.
If you listen to the tape, as we have all done...
No, sorry. I don't know what you're trying to say. You are saying that this statement signed by Mr. Rawlings is... there's something wrong in it.
So because the fact he don't accuse...
What supposed to have said. That's what
because
he said.
the fact he don't accuse
I-
Akufo-Addo that he's a tribalist there at that function.
Okay, fine. I thought you said that there was something wrong with the statement. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Then allow me to read the statement, please. I find it distasteful that, aside making ethnocentric references accusing NPP presidential candidate of being tribalistic, she also insinuated, please stop this. She also insinuated that because I was the founder of the National Democratic Congress, the electorate in the Volta region should vote for the party on that basis. Before making such unfortunate statements, let's remove the logs in our own eyes. I do not subscribe to the politics of ethnic bias and never have. While I may not be a fan of the NPP, I know their presidential candidate is not tribalistic or ethnocentric. Whatever Nana Addo's shortcomings, tribalism is not one of them. Some known and respected Voltarians like Nutifafa Kwenyenye should be able to testify to his political nature. As we draw closer to the next presidential and parliamentary elections, we all as Ghanaians expect all parties, and that is in caps, involved in the process to base their arguments and campaign rhetoric on the truth and desist from emotional and non-factual statements, especially where my name has to be mentioned. I implore the electorate not to allow immature behavior and pronouncements to cloud their judgment. Thank you. Kweku?
Yeah.
I thought Kweku promised he won't speak on this matter.
What did you say?
That
When
you
my
promised
chief
that
is
you will not
missing.
speak on this
Well,
matter.
he just spoke Chinese.
Okay.
My brother, that's amazing. We have an amazing country. Madame Jifa Ativo had been consciously charitable in the last few days towards the things she said. One, she's a lady. It's difficult these days to get so many women courageous enough to come into politics because of how we do politics in this part of the world. So those that are in there, sometimes it's better to try, preserve them, encourage them so that they can stick to the heat. She's come out with a certain defense or a justification of what she said. I think it's on graphic online or so. Yeah. And then I realized that something ought to be done to help her. We need to help her. What she said, and my brothers are suggesting that we didn't hear the full tape. I don't understand a way. Let me be honest with you. I can't speak it. But I heard the full tape being played, I think, on Adum FM. And 2 hours were there to translate it. And I think they did a good job. It virtually vindicated a translation that the Joy voiceover was doing. So I'm not sure we are talking about whether she said this or didn't say that. She said exactly what we have been told she said in English, even though she said it originally in Ewe.
Well, she has not denied it.
Thank you. And even her defense shows that she's not running away from the substance of what has been attributed to her.
That's right.
It lacked logic. It lacked consistency. It lacked facts, truthfulness. And some of those things have been expressed here. I think Powers made some of those points clear. If you took the cases that went to court under the NPP administration, one by one, and looked at those who were charged for prosecution, and those who were eventually convicted and sentenced, or those who were acquitted and discharged, it will not support her case. I don't know why we are doing this to ourselves. She goofed big time. Okay? Salome, Abu Dhabi, and Chachu Chikata, 3 hours. They got convicted and sentenced by courts of competent jurisdiction. My brother is sitting here giving the impression that some of those things were politically procured. He's not the first person to say so. Even some of their lawyers did. NDC itself as a political party did. They claimed this was persecution and selective justice. I'm sure Madam Ativo was coming from within that context. If she had gone in that trail, all you could be doing is to challenge her on basis of legal and, judicial arguments, and not the ethnocentric. It's because she threw the thing in the realm of a transcendentalism. That is why she got it wrong. If you want to continue with your propaganda that whatever happened was selective justice and persecution, that's your headache. Indeed, Tony Lita, if you recall, with the Abu Dhabi case, claimed that there had been some miscarriage of justice and was pointing to some politics. If you recall, a committee was set up headed by Justice Broby. He actually even failed to show up, but the findings of the committee showed that there was nothing of that sort.
Because we knew the findings.
Goku, I think you should go on, and you know what it is, so ignore and move on.
I'm actually ignoring
Was it
it.
because of me that you were?
Yes, because of the comment you made. Of course, he's dealing with facts, documents. So let's stick to that.
So
That's unfair. I think we are not dealing
Dealing
with
with
facts.
I haven't said you have not. Please, that's what he's dealing with. So allow him to make his comments. Yeah.
I'm twisted.
So it's clear that based on facts, based on logic, based on records, she goofed. And it's worse when she sent it within the realm of ethnicity or ethnocentrism. That made it worse. Because you can say, I said, look, check Quality Green. Who and who were charged? Kwame Pepra, Ibrahim Adam, Sipayanki. Who else?
Professor Mills was only
Ibrahim,
a witness, right?
and Kwesi Ahoy. He was discharged. Okay, there's Samuel Dapa, Chief Director at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. You can't just get the logic, her facts, clear. It doesn't wait in there. All the other cases, in Salmon Canary, Kunedu, Sheriaiti, okay, Agbodo, he was DIC Executive Secretary. Then one Samuel Thomas Benson, Owusu. All the cases, Grill, if you go in Sheriaiti, Sati Okran, she was discharged. Emmanuel Agbodo and Kesley Hayford, he was convicted. So, to be honest, just on that basis alone, you realize that, look, lady, great lady, come, express remorse, retract, and apologize.
Well,
And
you
this
won't get
matter-
that she says she is not retracting.
That is why I said I got challenged and realized that perhaps being charitable was part of what was helping her to show this impunity. It's unfair to her and to ladies. And I plead with her. She shouldn't go in this direction. Now, my brother talked about the Victor Wusu thing. It's a fact. But you see, we are so selective in our recollection of history that we forget about Professor Kofi Awono. May he rest in peace. He was a great guy, very powerful intellectual. But we forget. So much that 20-something years later, if you recall, when he was appointed a minister and was going through vetting, read this Hansard, 26th March 1997, and see what happened to Professor Awono. They had to cast his approval, the ballot, in secret ballot. And this is what Mr. then J.D. Mahama, NDC Volley, said, in order to help the parliament to come to a consensus. Mr. Mahama said this, Mr. Speaker, in connection with the issue you just raised, Professor Kofi Awono did say that he had written the book in a certain historical context. And he had written it in bitterness. He had just come out from a very traumatic prison experience. And that was a situation in which he was writing that book. And the question was put to him, if he had the opportunity to write a book like that again, would he write it the same way? And he said, in all honesty, if he had the opportunity to write the book again, he would write it differently. That was what transpired at the committee. This was being used to get the minority.
Which prison was he coming out from, if you can?
Achampon's days. Achampon's days. Okay? And that is one thing that he also had to tackle for a long time. In recent times, I brought them here. Look, Yiti Mensah, at a rally at Nungwa. If you want, let me read it. I've read it here before. Okay? Let me read it. Listen to what he said. He was in the company of Mr. Rawlings and Professor Mills towards election 2004. This was March 26, 2004. He was campaigning for Nino Notedua. And he says, with appointments, if let's say there are 10 positions, 8 will be filled with personalities from Kufuor's hometown and specifically his family men. Is that what they want to rule a country? Is that the way they want to rule a country? How many guns are in their party? I am not playing gun politics. God created you as guns from tissue. Nobody should despise you and think him or herself more superior. So he said, if it is needless to repeatedly advise a wise son, it is time to vote for Nino Tedua and Professor Atamils.
But he didn't say he wasn't sounding tribalistic.
Incredible. You see what we do to ourselves?
Yeah.
Here was a man on the platform campaigning for a particular person. Campaign for him, but you first took on what you perceived as some ethnic coloration of an administration and proceeded on that basis. And Kofi says, oh, that's not a true centric. I agree. Let's stay that way and do this damage to ourselves.
What about Yankan?
And that's not even
What
true.
about Yankan?
Kofi, why do you want to return to Yankan for? He's reading something, and clearly, I mean, you don't need any help. You don't need any help to tell that that was playing the ethnocentric card, and yet you found absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to Jifar Ativo's comments, you don't think there's anything wrong.
That Koku accused somebody earlier that he was just doing one side.
Listen, I was not going to do a recollection of history.
Okay.
It's because it was done here. I usually bring this just to wait. I was not going to do that, and I didn't do that Wednesday. I didn't do that Thursday.
Right.
I was focusing on what the lady had said, and I said I was even charitable. I thought we needed to approach things that way. But when we got here, there's been recollections, and I said there's a selectivity in the recollection. And you want to balance the issue. Look, I think we should help the lady. She needs help. Otherwise, she can live with this matter the way Victor Wusu, Professor Awono, them lived with. That's the point I'm making. I don't even want to quote the great old late Professor Mills. He's here too, if you remember, when he was talking to the fisher folk in Cape Coast, at Mumford. You remember about where President Kufuor had decided to cite cold stores and the reason why. We did, just to be clear, when the issue is come up, it's come up. I want to be careful on this matter. And I do so. I know people don't like when I'm soft on the ladies and women. But in politics, because I want to encourage more of them in, when they err, I think we should treat them in a very soft way, especially when they are prepared to retract and apologize. In this case, apparently, our very beautiful, fine lady is not ready to do so, and I'm disappointed in that.
Kuku, thank you very much. I said that I will not allow any opportunity for
she made the last.
for reactions.
Let me also alert her.
Yes.
She talked about UP antecedents in relation to Volta region. She should get her history very right. Indeed, in terms of Volta region or Nano sector especially,
that's right.
UP has origins there.
All right.
Great ones.
Maybe after Professor Asante and the rest have spoken, she may think again about her comments and decide to apologize. I've heard many others suggest that she should apologize. There are even people within the NDC who suggest that she should retract and apologize, except that she has the support of Johnson Esedun Ketia and, of course, Kobe and what's the name, and Kofi Adams have also suggested that, well, what she did, they don't find what we are all worried about.
We find wrong the interpretation.
Okay,
the wrong
we'll be back and I'll
we
share
find
with
wrong,
you.
the wrong interpretation.
So that's the position of the NDC, I guess.
You have a problem with the interpretation
the wrong
to
interpretation
it.
to
But
it.
when you hear it yourself, you have no problem with it.
There's no problem
Okay,
with it.
thank you.
With what?
Interpretation.
With what?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, but there was
Sorry, guys. Sorry. So we'll take a break. We'll return, and we have a lot to deal with the Electoral Commission. But there are people who have issues. For example, you mentioned Bubi Ansa. He sent me a message. We'll deal with that and then move on with the rest of the issues. We're right back.